I have the pleasure to introduce Professor Pradeep Chaubey from India. He is president of the Padma Shri awarded. It's chairman of MAX, Institute of Minimal Access Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery in New Delhi, India, and honorary surgeon to the President of India, surgeon of His Holiness Dalai Lama, and president of IFSO in 2012 and 23. He will give us a very nice talk about the modular robotic platforms. It increased the volume in robotic minimal invasive gastrointestinal surgery in Asia. Please, Professor Pradeep.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. It's good to be with all our friends and colleagues after quite some time. And I think a lot of things have been said about the platforms, various platforms which we are talking about. But I strongly believe that some of the facts which needs to be surfaced or highlighted, I would say, or brought from depth to the little superficial level for us to understand the next generation revolution, and that is the robotic revolution. And I think we are one of the fortunate generation, most of us, I think, we are at the fortunate generation that we have seen the revolution. So we had, say, in my 45 years of career, I worked for about 15 years as a conventional surgeon. And then I moved on to the laparoscopic revolution. And now for a couple of years, I moved on to the robotic revolution. So I am thankful for this great opportunity for me to be presenting my thoughts, which I have gathered over 2 years of experience with the robotic system. Though 20 years back, 23 years back almost, I was one of those persons who worked with the Da Vinci system, and somehow with my general laparoscopic procedures, briefly to give a couple of things to our audience. First of all, I think the word robot was used way back in 1921. And this was a play, this was a Czech play in Prague, where they used the word robot for the Czech word was robota, which means forced work. So this was a play where somebody would like to let other human being do exactly what he wants to do, the way he wants to do. So this is how the robot, which has nothing to do in terms of today's robotic system, but it's very interesting to know that the word came from Prague. Okay, now then came the Puma. I think, this is the first surgical robot in 1985, but it was basically not a surgical robot, but it was the stereotactic biopsies for the neurosurgery. And then, of course, the Probot in 1988 was used for TURP, which again did not really pick up much initiative and much popularity amongst the surgeons. And then, in 90s, we have seen quite a bit of things. Of course, I started my laparoscopic career in 1990, one of the first one in the Asia Pacific region. And then ESOP, I used ESOP also. It was a more voice modulated telescopic movement system. Of course, Zeus, Da Vinci, and Intuitive merged with Zeus. And I think this was a period where people were not very sure exactly what we are going to do. And I get a feeling in retrospect now, I think that time people were feeling that open surgeon is to be converted into the robotic surgery. Somehow I feel that that was a concept which was not really a realistic concept. But when the laparoscopy came in, I think this became more feasible to have the laparoscopic surgeon becoming the robotic surgeon. And this is what we see. The most of the laparoscopic surgeon are moving towards the robotic surgery, which I think I will be discussing. So I came across in New Orleans in one of the meeting, Colonel Satava presented a tele-robotic surgery, and I was fortunate to be attending that meeting. And he basically was talking that we have to, through tele-robotic system, we have to let the robot operate in maybe moon or maybe in some other country. Basically, it was meant for US Armed Forces. And I was so much impressed with, in 1994, that I created the first Department of Asia Pacific in 1996. And you can see all of us there. If you know, I am here, my other colleague, Dr. Anil Sharma, Dr. Kullar, everybody, Dr. Manish, Dr. Manna, I think all of us were there, excited. And you can see the board, Department of Minimal Access, Tele-Robotic and Cyber Surgery Center. So we were very much excited and convinced at that particular time. But as you know, the evolution in technology takes place. And as the evolution took place, we also realized that probably that's not the way to move forward. Now, this is my slide. It's almost 33 years old, which I got prepared on one of the computer graphics, which took whole day to prepare one slide. And this was my thought that I was moving from the conventional surgery to the laparoscopic surgery and looking at it as a very flowery and colorful future, though I was not sure where the ground was as firm as possible. So this was my first slide when I moved from convention to laparoscopic surgery. And this is a slide which I'm presenting today. It's a great leap of faith. And you see all the sort of gadgets now, which you're relying on the technology, you're relying on the various jumping method. You know that if anything goes wrong, you are dead. But still, you know, the technology is so strong. I am not saying that there may not be failure, but I'm still saying before it comes to the picture, I think it's a great leap. So these are my two great leap of my faith. Now, I think, you know, this is what at the moment, I feel that we should all be thinking laparoscopically and should be operating robotically. Which surgery, which procedure, which robotic system, I think only the time will tell us. Now, this is somehow the robotic system which I am using. And once the moment I saw the system in 1920, I got interested in this. We just talked about CMR versus robotic platform. Now, the beauty of this is that it's a small footprint. You can move the arms very easily from one theater to another theater. Of course, you can see the open console, which is, you know, like it gives you a lot of liberty to stand or sit or do any height of the system. And I think the biggest advantage which I saw in this was my passion for training and teaching. So with one system, I could train a lot of my younger colleagues sitting on my back and looking robotically and the 3D picture. Another point which impressed me the most was my volume. My volume, clinical volume, is fairly high. I do, and our team does, about 350 to 400 surgeries every month. They're all laparoscopic surgeries of hernia, bariatric, and all sort of procedures, fundoplications, the hysterectomies. So we have our own interest. So this robotic system, and to our surprise, we have reached up to 10 surgeries in a day with one just robotic system, moving from one operation theater to 5 of our operation theater. Another thing which impressed me was the ergonomics. You know, you are handling it exactly as you handle the laparoscopic instrument. So there is no extra time needed for that. And you are comfortably sitting whatever it is. This I would also recollect and recapitulate that in 1987, Philip Murray did the first laparoscopic cholecystectomy. And in 1992, just in a couple of years, the laparoscopic cholecystectomy became the gold standard of the world, without any studies, without anything except the, of course, some of us will remember the Sheffield trial, which ultimately did do little harm, but did not benefit. So within no time, it became the gold standard. And after suddenly that, it came the whole era of surgeries which can be done laparoscopically. And I think we all face the same. Laparoscopic surgery, that was said, is a very high cost, limited availability, lack of experience, and high complication rates. Now, today also, or maybe a couple of years back, I think most of us, we heard the same. The robotic system is high cost, limited availability. But on this slide, I can see the way laparoscopy transitioned from conventional to laparoscopy. I'm sure and very confident that in future, laparoscopy will get transformed to robotic surgery, though with many robotic systems which are in the pipeline. In spite of the fact that FDA approved this robotic system in 2000, now the cost was again a challenge. In 2000 to 2012, in 12 years, we could not do anything to the cost, could not do much to the training, we did not increase the indication for robotic surgery apart from the urological procedures and carcinoma prostate and pelvic procedures. Availability, of course, today it's a little more, but that time it was very less. And infrastructure, I think utilization of infrastructure was very poor, because in one operation theater with the boom there, you could hardly do more than 1 or 2 cases in normal working hours. So I think these were the reason why the robotic surgery took a long time, till about 2000, where the modular system started coming up. And now I think with the previous model systems were used for specific surgeries. Now modular systems are more for general laparoscopy, for the common surgical procedures like gallbladder, hernia, fundoplication, hysterectomies, and appendectomies, and various other intra-abdominal procedures. And that is what I feel is the popularity. Now, just to give you the glimpse, what is the future predicted at the moment? It is predicted that more than 400% increase in last 6 years of the number of robotic surgeons. So we can understand that, just in couple of, and this is going to be in thousands, more and more the laparoscopic surgeons are getting into the field of robotic surgery. So more than 400% increase. Now you see, now general surgery, how it is 840% increase in 6 years, driven by general surgical procedures. So here is the message, that unless the general surgical procedures are done robotically, the growth will not take place. And this is what is happening. Why the growth is taking place, why there is a multiplication of numbers, because I think more and more general surgical procedures are being done robotically with modular robotic platforms. Now, this is very interesting. 4,000, more than 4,100% increase in last 6 years for inguinal hernia repair. So it's one of the surgery, very common surgery. It is there. Now, another figure, 4,400 times more for ventral hernia repair, because of the suturing, because of the placement of the easiness with which you can, and the dexterity with which you can suture. So that is another platform. There was anti-reflux surgery. However, I think it's not a very, very common surgery, but still 860% increase in the number from 2012 to 2018. So again, it speaks volume that how we are going. Now, when it comes to the cholecystectomy, has the lowest increase in the percentage, though it is still significant, 300%. And that is what we changed in last 2 years. We changed this to a different number, because this is one of the commonest surgery done by the surgeon. So I think in this graph, you can see that the growth of the cholecystectomy till 2018 was the lowest. We can ignore maybe 1.5 to 2 years of COVID, which of course nothing grew, but I'm sure with 21 when I started this surgery and 22, I will just show a glimpse of my figure that where do we stand today? I think gallbladder remains the very common surgery, and the surgical robotic global market is in 2025 is going to be of such a degree where a lot of robotic systems will come into play and will make the life of a particular type of surgeon more comfortable, whether he's doing common surgical procedures or advanced surgical procedures. What is the need? I think need easy availability, and we see the market is now getting flooded with newer generations of robotic of this thing. Cost per patient, of course, with the number increasing, cost per patient will go down. Common surgical procedures will be more used, and patient will be demanding and compelling the surgeons and the hospitals to get into the system. And all these systems are becoming mobile, so can be moved from one operation theater to another operation theater. And with open console, we have more opportunity to train our young surgeons with a simpler procedures which can be done. Now, this is just my profile. I started in 21, and you can see the growth in December, how it's almost like 50% of my procedures, almost 120, 125 procedures per month we are doing robotically. Of course, the gallbladder, hernia, fundoplication, appendectomy, hysterectomy, they are the common procedures. Of course, cholecystectomy remains still one of the most popular. So you can imagine the awareness now which is being created. So this is our graph, what we saw. Before we realized in 22 has been quite important year for us. We feel that we could create 2 world records on the robotic system. One was the fastest 100 cases in 17 days, and another was the highest number of robotic surgery, 623 in just 1 year over this thing. So, but this is not the story. This is not my record. This is I would like to devote this record to the robotic system, newer platforms which are coming in. So today, I would like to conclude that my title is Modular Robotic Platforms Increase the Volume of Robotic Millimeter Surgery in Gastr surgery in Asia or in the world. I would say yes. I'm very positive, and we have done trial for FDA, for CMR. I'm sure sooner or later it will get approved, and more countries will be doing. Of course, thank you very much for this opportunity. I bring greetings from my team at Max Institute of Minimal Access Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery at New Delhi, India. And thanks for your attention. We'll be happy to answer any question arising with my presentation. Thank you very much.